Is this thing on? We working? Might be a touch too loud here. I'll turn that down a bit. Okay, update this title. Hello, good morning. Man, one day we'll do a stream just going over stream settings. Why is it set to private? That doesn't make no sense. One of these days we'll start dedicating some streams to going over some stock market news. Can you guys hear the squirrel outside? That's hilarious. Okay, I'll see if this one is. No, of course it doesn't work. Yeah, Tesla's down a couple percent, Intel's down, Google's down. I wonder how much more we're gonna see slipping this week. Let's check the Patreon group. Closing the oil shorts. I'm trying to find a post from 5 days ago. Yes, that's right. The S&P did hit over 7,000 last week. What is Tesla doing with medical cancer research? We're just getting a couple of the news over the weekend here. What is this Marvel company I keep hearing about? Screenshot. Oh, more trade alerts. What's this? Okay, post that in Discord. Guys, if you are not in Discord, What are you even doing? I both love and kind of hate Discord. Discord is really handy for quick posts, hopping in, a voice chat, chatting with someone. It's so seamless. But like Patreon has so more monetization and community aspects to what they're doing. Is my camera laggy? No. Google is a beast. Yes. Gratefully back on the train from that bottom 2 weeks ago, up $58 in 14 days. Oh, good deal. That is true. Like Google, almost the entire North American population touches Google every single day. That's kind of crazy to think about. Okay, we'll get into the main topic here pretty soon. I will start a stream marker here. Ooh, why did that move over there? Oh, what's this? Something else is dropping. What's Kraken doing? Okay. Okay, well, good morning. I wanted to talk a little bit about building a brand, kind of how that relates to building a personal brand, and then kind of the part that no one talks about is how a business kind of gets wrapped up into all of this. Now, there are people that literally post every single day. They have good content and they're putting in a lot of effort. But so many people that I talk to and see every day are still stuck at single digit likes, single digit engagement, maybe a few hundred views, maybe a few thousand views here and there. But then there's other people that are doing kind of the same thing, but maybe they're only posting twice a week. They're not doing anything fancy, yet they're signing clients. They have checks coming in, brands are reaching out to them. And the difference isn't consistency, it's not quality, it's not shadow banned or anything to do with the algorithm. It's that one of them is building an audience and trying to farm engagement and get clicks and likes, and that the other is actually building a business with an offer. And most people get those backwards. And here's what I mean by that. I spent the better part of 2 years kind of doing this same thing. For a little bit of context, I have a background in the skilled trades and dealership management. And when I moved into business and marketing, I figured that I knew enough that I could sell something without building a big business and a brand, and it wouldn't necessarily be obvious to the public with what I was trying to do. And like that was a mistake that I had right from the start, is that I was trying to optimize my content when in reality I had nothing of value to push out there. And this is the mistake that I see so many people making now, is because I made this mistake years ago, which is honestly kind of embarrassing to admit a little bit, that I spent so many years trying to do this, but here I am now. So the question that a lot of people have is, what does this all come down to? And what should you be asking yourself? Are you building a business? Are you just trying to farm audiences and build followers and impressions and hope that brands reach out to you and offer and offer you checks in exchange for content. That's a pipe dream, because the strategy for each one is completely different, to be honest. There's a couple things that align that can help both in each side, but I think most people they start off doing this wrong, because that's what I did. The first part that this boils down to is what I call the audience trap. Now, growing followers feels like progress, because you can see the number go up, as it's kind of the same way as buying a new business. If you start to see emails come in, or you start to see people walk through your door, those are metrics that move, and you get a little bit of that, small dopamine hit, because you can see something tangible happening in the back end. And so then you keep going. But an audience without an offer or a business attached to it, at the end of the day, they're just people that are just passing by and looking through a store window with nothing in it. There's a stat from the creator economy that I pulled up. There's some data floating around right now that makes this very clear. So there was a gaming channel with over 1 million subscribers earning about $2,000 a month. Then there was also a finance channel with 100,000 subscribers generating $25,000 a month. Now, I'll leave some links of where you can verify all these stats, but there are real scenarios that scale, whether you have 1 million, 100,000, or 10,000 followers, that the people that have an offer and a business behind their content can actually make 10 times the money that people that have hundreds of thousands or millions of followers. Because at the end of the day, if you have nothing to offer, the revenue is not going to come in. The follower count is almost irrelevant. I don't like it when people say that followers don't matter anymore, because in the real world that they absolutely do. Because a company that wants to work with you, whether that's a B2B relationship, a behind the scenes partnership, or it could be something like business to consumer related, depending on if you sell a course or a product or what kind of service you're in. The follower count used to matter a lot, not as much, but it still matters. That's like, I could honestly do a whole live stream just talking about that one aspect of how follower count matters in the real world. Because I think once you've passed that about 800 real followers on a platform, it's almost like a light switch that turns on that kind of invites people to like, it's like a magnet that starts sucking people towards you. There is definitely a threshold, so followers do matter. But the uncomfortable part is that most people that are trying to build a brand don't have anything to monetize. That's just the truth. I cannot tell you how many hundreds of people that I've seen and talked to and have reached out to me, and all the DMs, like just in the past year alone, everyone is trying to grow something. They're all trying to make moves and make waves, but they're missing the business piece. And sure, big content creators, live streamers, they can, they definitely muddy the waters of how this works in the real world. So the incentive of what most people default to is just to keep chasing followers and just kind of hope that one day it's going to work out, because that's what keeps people engaged with their content. If they see something go up, they just double down on that. So I'm not saying that this is some sort of like conspiracy. I'm saying that the incentive to growing an audience is misaligned for the advice that works in the real world. The second piece to all of this is that the personal brand space is getting noisier, and the audience kind of knows about this. I mentioned in a previous video that a mistake that I've seen people and businesses make is kind of assuming that their audience is maybe like, I'm not going to say dumb or just like unintelligent, just not fully like aware or comprehensive of what's going on. With how much we have access to data, and then how AI models to interpret that data, and public forums of what people are saying online, customers are the savviest that they've ever been. You are fighting a losing battle if you think that you're going to try to like outsmart a whole bunch of people. This might work if you make content for like, you know, for children and you're trying to lure them to a CTA to, or not even children, just underage people for a certain consumer brands. It can happen. That's a different kind of marketing. But here's something that's worth showing you. There's a piece from, let's see if I can pull this up here. Can I share my screen? It's called the What the Heck is a Personal Brand. And this company spent the past year dissecting what the makeup is for a personal brand versus a business. Oh, shoot, what's this here? I had to take a super quick be right back here. Never mind. We're back. We're good. So someone sent me this article I want to take a look at here, because this is related to the topic. I told some people what I was going to talk about today. They said, what do you think of this? Apparently I have a personal brand. I imagine something that looks like tired, drinks tea lot, it's a full-time job. Drowsy, this makes mistakes feel turns embarrassing, guilty, or defiant. Okay, so what is this here? Age 2000s, The Quiet Revolt, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Here's a final thought. If you're not posting, you're still making great work, it's kind of clients, then guess what? You're doing fine. If your personal brand is occasionally remembering to update your full portfolio, welcome to the club. It's a big one. Of course, this isn't an excuse for shoddy work or poor communication, but it's the permission to stop treating yourself like a product that needs consistent marketing, to start treating yourself like a human being who has interesting feelings. I feel like this is I'm not sure how I feel about this, because you got like the real personal brands are the ones that think like businesses, that have something to offer. You don't need a brand, you need a break. Maybe a biscuit. Okay, well, I can move on from that, because I think the person there doesn't need a biscuit. I digress. Let me know in the comments what you think so far. Do you agree that personal brands need to have a business offering behind them? Or do you think that posting consistently and posting consistent high quality is enough to magnetically attract consumers and companies that want to work with you? I'm genuinely curious because I can only speak from my perspective and the people that reach out to me. Yeah, so I think that author makes a point that is somewhat core to the problem. At some point, we are told to niche down, build an audience, post daily content. But suddenly, we aren't just professionals doing the work anymore. We become creators, and our work becomes secondary to the business that we're trying to build for ourselves. And that's the piece that I try to flip around with the people that I work with, because that's the trap. You start performing for the brand instead of doing the thing that the brand is supposed to be offering. And audiences in 2026 are far, like I guess I said, sharper, more savvy than they were a few years ago. Yeah, and the personal brand playbook has become so standardized that it's creating a sea of like copycats almost. Like you see this in so many different spaces where you see someone else doing something that works, whether it's a content style or a format or a niche, and people will replicate it, and they expect that they'll see the same success. But those people aren't Markiplier or Logan Paul or Mark Rober or Graham Stephan. They all have offers and things that they can provide to real people and real brands. So someone asked like what the real bottleneck is in all of this. So we've talked about a lot of the sub points and like where does this all lead down to? So here's what I've been thinking about and what I think is happening right now. Most people start with, I want to build a personal brand and be a cool dude online. And I was this too. And then they ask, well, what should I be posting? And that is the wrong first question. And I can't believe that in 2026, with people being on YouTube for the past 10 years reading content, are still asking the wrong questions. Like we have AI and ChatGPT and Claude and Grok or pick your poison, and people still ask the wrong question. What I would love everybody watching right now to ask themselves, what problem do you solve? Who do you solve it for? And what do you think someone would reasonably pay for this? Now, you might not have all of those questions to answer at once, but as soon as you can answer one, then you can answer the second, and then you can answer the third. And you will often find times have multiple different answers for the same question, and that's totally okay. But you still have to answer or ask yourself the right questions, because the right answer to a wrong question is still going to hold you back, if you know what I mean. Yeah, smaller audiences with deeper trust will always outperform big reach. I think that's very true to be said. Like low connection in most categories is not going to convert. Even if doesn't matter if you've got 1 million followers, but low connection, it's not going to convert. Yeah, that's not a good feeling, and that's not where actual money is moving. No, I agree. Yeah, that's why I like the 1,000 True Fans model. I really should try to find that book where I ended up putting it last time. Excuse me here. I have the window open because we are finally getting some good snow days here, but now the snow mold is really bad outside the window, so now it's giving me a headache. Yeah, no, I really like the 1,000 True Fans model. If someone wants to practice having a business brand to a small group of people to build a real community, try the 1,000 True Fans model. It's worked for me. It's worked for a lot of the people I've helped incorporate the model. And like the worst case scenario about 1,000 True Fans model is that it turns into your 2,000 True Fans model and then your 10,000 True Fans model, because at the very least it gives you a light at the end of the tunnel for building a small monetizable audience. Excuse me. No, so you don't need to go viral. You don't need to be like a gem within a category to make money in a niche. I think that's such an oversold lie. So yeah, like posting consistency is still real advice. I'm not going to tell you that it doesn't matter, but consistent posting without clear effort and offer attached to it is kind of like a treadmill that just keeps going around. There's never really a start and an end point. It just goes. Oh, that also means like you're burning energy, and staying in one place. It's that false sense of momentum. Yeah, and like some of the creators I've seen actually break through usually have like a weird couple of months where they're posting less, they're trying some different angles, but when they post, it's a little bit sharper and there's a more direction. Yeah, and that helps, honestly, a lot of people figure out what they're actually selling, and not every piece of content is just doing a job. Mm-hmm. So I do like to always leave these. If anyone has any more questions, people are always free to anonymously message me in Discord. We do have the public chats out here. Patreon's open as well. But I do have some action items based off of some of the questions we've seen come in this morning about this. So the problem audit. Let's call this like the problem audit. Write down every problem you've solved for yourself, professionally or personally, in the past 3 years. Then I want you to circle each problem that A, you would feel confident enough selling, and B, you think that somebody else also has this problem. Like, that's your offer direction, and everything else should flow down from there. Second action item, the follower to gut check offer. If your account disappeared tomorrow, could you email or DM your current audience whatever it is that you want to offer? Most of the time when I ask people that, the answer is no. They have absolutely no idea who their audience is, apart from just a follower account number on a social platform. I'll pull up my website here. I'm working through a new redesign. If I go to this, let me open up here, I'll go to Diggler.com. So ignore the redesign right now, and I want to focus on right here. When people land on my website, they read my headline, they see a couple of buttons, some high-level stats, instantly, right here. Practical ideas, no fillers. I get anywhere between 5 and 20 people a week that just freely give me their email address. I cannot make this stuff up. And my YouTube channel could get shadow banned. Instagram could get hacked. I lose that account. I mean, X is basically dead. I get quite literally zero reach on posts there anyway. Simply by having this email capture method, I'm just making sure I'm sharing the right screen here. Simply having this email capture method is going to not only get your foot in the 1,000 true fans model, but use this as practice to email these people like, hey, you've clearly, if you make content about whatever, sourdough bread, fixing lawnmowers, oil painting, videography, whatever, if you have an email sign up form and you could have 3 people on it, you could have 1 person, but treat that person like a potential customer that you're walking up into their store. Send them an offer, ask them how they're doing, communicate some of the problems that you try to solve in the content that you make. And it doesn't have to be like a direct, hey, do you want to buy from me right now? Try to introduce one more layer down into a content sales funnel. That is the primary objective with having an email sign up form. The content job test. So go ahead and look at the last 10 posts. You can go and check out the analytics, just get some high level, maybe even you could even screenshot all the analytics from these posts, paste them into ChatGPT, paste them into Claude, ask it to look at these posts from the perspective of your audience and ask it questions like, did this build credibility to my brand? Does this inch my brand messaging closer to my offer? Again, these, you might not have the best answer right away, but these are the questions that you have to start asking yourself. As soon as you start to kind of dissect these details, an exercise I work people through is the elevator pitch, or that one-liner offer drill. It's the filling in the blanks in real time with who you are, what problem do you solve, and what kind of success do people have when they consume your content? And try not to think about this too much, because even someone that does art for a YouTube channel can still answer those three questions of like, who's your audience, what do you sell, and what kind of success looks like. Because if you divide the realistic price for what you could sell something to what an audience would realistically want to buy, that's the gap that you have to start closing in the content that you make. I hope I explained that correctly. You want to create a visual representation in your brain of how many buyers you have from your followers, and then what content that can you post to move those potential buyers of your followers closer to your call to action. That call to action could be booking a meeting, could be selling a service, it could be a physical product buy now in a merch store, it could be a Patreon sign up. Even joining a free Patreon is a form of a business offer. I'm not sure if you guys knew this. I have a Patreon that was started not too long ago. Every week, I'm going to be dumping way more resources into money management, business, investing, even just general stuff about being a damn good human. Now, right there, that was a call to action. That was a little bit of a plug. That is the business aspect of being a creator that people need to tap into more, and not just try to, be the next. Right. You're totally right about that. The 1,000 true fans math, the 100 true fans math. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. So the math behind 1,000 true fans is that if you can find if you can find 1,000 people that genuinely fuck with you and offer them something in value that they would pay $10 a month for, well, that's your six-figure salary. Because so many people are trying to chase tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. It's even bonkers that there's an expectation that you have to have 7 figures of an audience before you can make 6 figures a year. And from personal experience, that is total BS and an absolute trap that will hold people back for the rest of their life. And the cool thing about the 1,000 true fans model is that it is a one-to-one replica of 100 true fans model, because if you can't get 10 people to buy $10 a month from you, what makes you think that you're going to get 1,000 people to buy $10 a month from you? Oh, nice. I did get that. These might come up in chat. Let's get ahead of some of these here. Someone asks, but don't you need thousands of followers before you can start selling anything? The real answer is not really. You need credibility and a specific offer for a specific person. You can sell to 20 engaged people in a live stream or a video way easier than it is to sell to 10,000 people that are scrolling through a short. And take it from me, the followers come way faster once you're clear on what you're actually offering to the public. What if you don't know what your offer is yet? How can you possibly sell something? That's honestly where most people start. Go back to the problem audit I mentioned. You need to solve things in your life that perhaps other people haven't yet. That offer is usually hiding inside of your own track record, to be honest. And it's not all about consistency. I keep hearing that. That's like the meme of the internet for like decades. Consistency matters, but it's the second thing, not the first. Consistently posting unclear content just builds an audience that doesn't know why they're following you. Get the offer direction first, and then consistency will follow. What's the difference between a personal brand and just having a social media account? That's a great question, because a personal brand has a point of view and a perspective, and a person is just trying to post content for the sake of being online. Because a social media, an Instagram account, is just content that exists. And most people have the second one and they're thinking to build. Yeah. They're building the first. Yeah. Is building a personal brand too saturated now? In the generic space, it is absolutely too saturated. But getting specific is never saturated, because business advice is crowded, but business advice for tradespeople is an untapped niche. You know what I mean? Or financial advice for middle-class Canadians in the prairies. There are so many finance gurus out there, but you have to get hyper specific with who you want to talk to. There was a funny quote I heard: "The riches are in the niches." Thing sounds funny to even say, but yeah, the riches are in the niches. People just don't buy down far enough that it feels kind of scary. How long does it actually take to build a personal brand? The honest answer here is longer than most people say. How long does it actually take to build a personal brand? The honest answer is it takes way longer than most people say. And it's shorter than you think if you actually put your head down and do the work. And here's what I mean with that. Someone with a clear $500 offer and 500 followers across a couple platforms can easily start making a couple grand a month. Comparing that to someone with 50,000 followers and absolutely nothing to sell them. So if you have a couple hundred followers right now that are engaged in what you're doing, what's holding you back isn't the audience size, it's the offer that you're off. What's holding you back isn't the audience size, it's the offer that actually brings in revenue every month. So if I was starting over tomorrow, I'd spend the first 2 months not posting anything. I'm serious. I'd write down every problem I've personally solved in the past 5 years, pick between 3 and 5, and then pick one person that would be a candidate for any of those products. And then build a simple version of an offer around the highest of those 5 items. Then I would post with that offer in mind once every second day. Not every day, that's called audience fatigue, but every second or third day, post a piece of content that is either relatable, indirectly relatable, a direct call to action, or even just a pain point around the problem that you solve. Because it turns out people follow people who are clearly going somewhere or doing something different from them. they're not following people that are just trying to get more followers. Like, audiences are way too smart for that. And if you're trying to game the system, that is a losing strategy, and you are not going to be outsmarting the algorithms or people on the other side of the feed. So if anything, what I just said landed with you, I'd appreciate you following along, because this is the thing that I have not only figured out for myself, I am now taking other people along to kind of shave a good 3 months to 3 years off of their building a brand journey. So that goes without saying. If you want to support me with what I'm doing, I do have a Patreon. There's a free tier that people can enjoy that will probably be free forever. The mid tier is going to have a lifetime access to every single resource that I will ever have on Patreon. That's kind of a commitment that I want to make now. And then the upper tier is basically just to get direct access to me if you're needing one-on-one support with something you're building. And if you obviously want to take things, a little bit more one-on-one, DMs are open on not only Discord, which honestly most people message me on anyway, but go ahead and send me a message on Patreon. Let's see how that works. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye. We're not actually leaving. We're going to continue the live stream. I enjoyed that. That's the third one. That's cool. I should really get some of these updated. Should we edit some of these? Okay, we'll go into Premiere. Let's find another good stream title. Whoa, this is kind of big news. It says that Gerald Undone is retiring. Let's check this out.
I don't want to do this anymore. And by this, I mean being in this space, in this set, talking about products I don't actually care about, but that I think will draw more views or earn me a bunch of money. I don't want a portion of my house to essentially be a shrine to cameras.
Why
So when
not?
I started,
What's wrong with having a portion of your house being a... Oh, let's actually put on the headphones for this. This would probably be better. Undone. Do I do this one? Oh, I am actually kind of dark. I wonder why. Gerald Undone. Gerald Undone is retiring. Let's take a look at this. I wonder why.
I don't want to do this anymore. And by this, I mean being in this space, in this set, talking about products I don't actually care.
Let's find out why Gerald Undone is retiring. All right.
I don't want to do this anymore. And by this, I mean being in this space, in this set, talking about products I don't actually care about, but that I think will draw more views or earn me a bunch of money. I don't want a portion of my house to essentially be a shrine to cameras.
Why
When
not?
I started this channel 10
I
years
love
ago,
that.
I was legitimately very interested in cameras. I was obsessed to some degree. And that version of me would have been ecstatic to have shelves filled with interesting and expensive camera paraphernalia. And while I consider myself very fortunate and feel thankful,
Is that the trap in people setting a goal for themselves, and then once they achieve that goal, they kind of go, I don't want this anymore? Because I can relate to that, not being a wildly successful YouTuber.
for the opportunity to build what I did over the last decade, and of course to enjoy the many comforts and perks that come along with that, I also need to accept that my interest in this category has significantly waned as the products themselves have gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
In my last few camera reviews, I suggested that I was finished with my extensive testing because cameras felt mostly solved to me. I'm the type of person that stays interested in something for the puzzle.
Okay, that is a lens that can be put on pretty much every single computer electronics industry out there, because like I feel like we've kind of peaked in technology. I mean, it's like it kind of started with cell phones a number of years ago, and you can kind of notice over the past like 5 years what really better cell phones do we have. You just get like digit percentage increased performance and a little bit better camera specs. The same thing goes with computers, with TVs, with cameras, and we're just everyone, myself included, is waiting for a breakthrough product to get excited to make videos about again.
Or challenge of it, and I bore quickly if that challenge is removed. And so, even though this space is supposed to be dedicated to being creative and working on projects I'm passionate about, it has instead devolved into a place of torpid inertia. I'm surrounded by objects that don't bring me joy. Well, except for these purple cables from my collab with Condor Blue. I'm still really proud of them and have no plans to discontinue
See?
that.
Call to
But
action.
everything
We just
else
stopped
feels
talking.
like an endless performance, feigning interest in features devoid of any authentic curiosity, in an uncomfortable position behind too many lights designed to make me look as attractive as possible, reading from a teleprompter. This is theater, and I don't want to do it anymore. So what am I going to do about it? Well, for starters, I'm done with having a contrived YouTube set. I'm going to tear all this down and convert this area into a space I'd actually want to spend time in. I'm going to
I don't know where this is exactly going, but I love every second of it.
fill it with objects that bring me joy and actually mean something to me. I'm going to light it in a way that I find pleasing to exist in, regardless of how it looks on camera. And then when all that is done, I'll find a spot to put a tripod that doesn't interfere with those other aspects. That doesn't mean I'm never going to talk about cameras or the related processes again. There are aspects I still enjoy, certain tests I like running. I like profiling cameras to make my LUTs, link in description. But I do think I'm done making my exhaustive, long-form camera reviews. I also thought it'd be fun to offer up more about myself, since that's something I haven't done a lot in the last 10 years. Maybe, as I decide what objects I do want to be surrounded
Did bro just say he's going to offer up more of himself? I don't know. Just saying.
by, I can make episodes dedicated to sharing with you why those things are special to me. I like the idea of building out this space over time with a meaningful purpose rather than just trying to design something that looks good on camera right now, but is laden with artifice. I accept that this will likely have significant impacts on my bottom line. Viewership will likely take a hit. I imagine I'll be less desirable to camera-related brands looking to spend money advertising on my channel. And this might even be the pivot that steers the ship directly to the dark shores of obscurity. But I'm okay with that. I've had my fill of camera YouTube popularity and the spoils that accompany it. But speaking about brand deals, I do want to share my intentions for that moving forward and some projected changes to my ethical practices regarding camera brands in the future. But before that, I want to give a special thank you to Storyblocks for sticking with me over the years and throughout the various revisions of the Gerald and Dunn YouTube channel, and even for sponsoring this video. So
I'm not going to
all-in-one
skip the
creative
Storyblocks
tools
sponsor. I'm just going to, give my take on my personal use with Storyblocks. And I'm extremely happy with Storyblocks. I used their subscription for probably closer to 3 years. I didn't have control over the like B-roll secondary media subscription we had back at the agency, but I had no complaints over Storyblocks, and it was one of the situations where I was genuinely sad to not have Storyblocks anymore after I didn't have access to the subscription. So
15% off any annual plan, but that discount is only available
I
through my
still
link.
think they're
So to
also
start
might
telling
be
that
one of the
story with your
cheapest
own all-in-one creative toolkit, head to
creator
storyblocks.com/Gerald.
toolkits for
I'll put the
video
link in the
artists
description.
out there.
Now, when it comes to this new direction for the channel, I see myself doing considerably less sponsored content on YouTube. If I do any paid showcases, it would have to fit all the previous goals of being something I'm actually passionate about, something I'd enjoy having around me all the time, or something that helps facilitate the process of making those videos. And I foresee those criteria heavily reducing the frequency of applicable brand deals. At the same time, however, I'm also lowering the gates when it comes to working with camera manufacturers.
Hmm.
Previously, despite what some inexplicably angry and vocal outliers would tell you, I did not get paid by the camera brands to make my videos. Even if I glazed a Sony camera for 30 minutes in a review, Sony didn't pay me a dime for that coverage. Same with Canon, Lumix, Nikon, etc. And I thought that exclusion was important to remain as objective as possible when comparing cameras. But
I feel like that's a big misconception and such a topical thing to mention based off of the live stream topic this morning about call to actions and personal brands and revenue streams. I think that people automatically default that when they see someone like Gerald Undone doing a review on a new a new Lumix camera or a new Sony camera, that they're just being handed out fat five-figure checks to be giving their opinions on cameras. And often that can be the case for some people, but those are the exceptions, not the rule. The opportunity that someone like Gerald Undone gets when Canon sends them a new camera to review is not only they get content to make on YouTube, they're going to get the thousands of dollars in just organic ad revenue that comes in through YouTube, but then their face, the Gerald Undone, is now in the forefront of latest and emerging tech. And that's something that's hard to quantify without being in the situation. But no, like Canon doesn't write a $50,000 check to every single YouTuber that they send a camera to review. They oftentimes they'll send you something. You'll have anywhere between like 7 days and let's just say 2 months to make some content about it. You get to keep all the revenue that you make from that content. They'll give you some talking points and maybe some highlights that they would like for you to mention. But beyond that, unless you're an employee at a company or you have a very specific sponsorship, that's largely how these arrangements go.
moving forward, if I'm not trying to objectively review cameras anymore, and a camera brand wants to give me a bunch of gear and money to help me make my new, unrelated passion project videos, then I don't see any harm in that. This might not even come up because, again, I'll likely be much less desirable for camera brands to work with, but my
Yeah.
point is that I'm no longer opposed to doing it. Now, when it comes to actually making paid content on gadgets that don't fit this channel's new strategies, I've discovered recently that I much prefer making short form content when it comes to stuff like that. So maybe I'll keep Instagram and possibly YouTube Shorts, though I'm not sure about the latter, open for a place to put paid content about new camera related components and accessories, or anything.
That's a really good idea that I've seen other people incorporate in their channels, and probably what I will do in the next year, where they leave their long form as their theatrical events, right? That's the main stage why people come to their YouTube channel and watch their content. But then they sell dedicated ad slots in the form of YouTube Shorts, and then those YouTube Shorts oftentimes be integrated into like 30-second horizontal ad slots in their long form videos. So essentially, Gerald and Dunn takes it from making a dedicated sponsored content to having dedicated sponsored segments within their own videos. I think it's an incredibly smart model that
Really.
I love.
I feel like that will lead to a cleaner separation, both in
Yeah.
practice and mentally, when it comes to staying focused on long form content that I enjoy making and not being motivated by how much a YouTube video could potentially pay. I've been debating on what to call this transition to make it easier to reference. I'm certainly not quitting YouTube, at least not yet, but I have often joked about retiring from camera YouTube after 10 years. But then I would joke further about what a YouTube retirement would even look like. So this is the best I can come up with. Me just poking around with things that make me happy and taking you along for the ride when I feel like it. So let's tear down this set and get this retirement started. That would have been the perfect opportunity to say, let's get undone instead of let's get this retirement started. You'd think by
Oh,
now
man.
I would know when to use my own catchphrase.
I friggin' love Canadian YouTubers.
Forget it. Play the intro anyway. Gerald Undone. He's crazy. But seriously, thanks for coming along on this ride with me. Whether this is your first video or you've been here for all 10 years, it's been a truly wonderful, unpredictable, life-altering, and occasionally unhinged journey, and one that I'm incredibly grateful I was able to take. All right. I'm done.
All right, what's he gonna do? Did he get a little bit of a head start on 420? Is this what we see Gerald Undone doing right now? This is the history. Wow. Nerd. Oh, there we go. There you can see it right here. You have like, okay, this is Gerald in like 0.09 of his YouTube set. And then you see a couple videos later, you've got, all right, a little bit more thought through. Here's that version 0.9.9. Okay, here's the first version 1, Gerald Undone YouTuber. You've got the nice background lighting. There's some bokeh. I like it. You've got the triangular light pattern on his cheek for the cinematic color, or light spread rather. Oh, there's the classic hipster beanie. Hey, I'm guilty too. I literally have one sitting right there. Gerald with long hair. Interesting. I think we all had a long phase. There we go. Okay, he's playing with the more dramatic lighting again. He's got some intentional background spill. There we've got this was big boy Gerald arc, right? When he goes into, okay, I don't need the background set. He's gonna start working out, he's gonna start filling out, he cut his hair, he's starting to get the 5 o'clock shadow in every day. He's talking with his hands, he's serious, he's got his fake tool chest workshop in the background. I think that the pivot that we're seeing Gerald Undone go after right now is what we'll see a lot of YouTubers start pivoting in the next couple years, because honestly, this is literally the video that I made 2 months ago about niching down, holding you back. And you can't discredit someone's success by spending 3 years, 4 years, 5 years making a camera YouTube channel. But the crossroads that every single creator winds up in is that they get bored. They get bored of their niche, and oftentimes it takes years for them to kind of realize this point and make a pivot, because do we really want to just be a camera content creator, right? Are you going to pigeonhole yourself like that and say, I'm just going to make that one kind of content? You know, it's the same thing with, you know, with content creators that make content about content creation. Is there like an inception, a niche of niches in that? And eventually people get bored and they want their lifestyle and their other interests and their personality to start coming out, because it's almost a risk to people's brands, not in every way, but in a lot of core ways, that when you're known for one thing and that one thing isn't necessarily hot anymore, you start to fizzle away. So I love Gerald Undone. I wish him all the best. I'm really curious to see where his retirement's going to take them. Let's check this out. All right, let's do something here. I will watch that video slightly later. Okay. do do do. Because a personal brand has a point of view and a perspective, and a person is just trying to post content for the sake of being online. Because a personal brand has, because a social media, building a personal brand too saturated now. In the generic space, it is absolutely too saturated. Excuse me. All right. I got a tickle in my throat. Okay, we're alive. We're alive. Is Bill what the heck is going on? I'm dying here. Is building a personal brand too saturated now? In the generic space, it is absolutely too saturated. Absolutely too saturated. Absolutely too saturated. But getting specific is never saturated, because business advice is crowded, but business advice for tradespeople is an untapped niche. You know what I mean? Or financial. You know what I mean? Or financial advice for middle class Canadian, untapped niche. You know what I mean? Or mean? Or there are so many finance. There are so, you know what I mean? Or there are so many finance gurus out there, but you have to get hyper specific with who you want to talk to. Finance you want to talk to. Financial advice for middle-class Canadians in the prairies. There was a funny quote I heard, the riches are in the niches thing. Sounds funny to even say, but yeah, the riches are in the niches. Sounds funny to even say, but yeah, the riches sounds funny to even say, but yeah, the in the prairies. Sounds funny to even say, but yeah, the riches are in the niches. People just don't buy down far enough that it feels. How long does it actually take? What do we have going on here? Well, let's check these analytics really quick before I get too deep into it. Wow, 80 people from the last live stream. Let's frickin' go, dude. Try this. Oh, I get to use my Vibe Coded app right now. Sweet. Which one is it? Is it this screen? Yeah, there we go. So let's go to F drive. Claude comment generator. Here we go. Here we go. That's what I needed. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, go back to here. Remove that retiring video. Where's Okay, that worked fantastic. Okay, let's bring that over. Sweet. Okay, I'll show you guys what I built here. So when we get lots of questions, you want to keep things anonymous. I vibe coded this comment generator. Now it has templates for TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, whatever. And how this works is whatever you put in here and you hit generate, puts it as a video comment like this. We can download it. We can go hide that, bring it right into our downloads folder, and then there we go. That's it. That's all. Isn't that sweet? One second. I just gotta move some files around here. Okay, let's go to here. What is this? Tax. Okay, we can delete those. Okay. So when we have this generated, all we need to do is that's actually weird. When it downloaded, it didn't generate the name. Okay. Let's try this again. Oh yeah, that's an issue. Okay, let's go into Codex here. Does it work in all of them? Okay, what if we dark download? Oh shit. Okay, we're gonna do some live Codex here. The comment generator. When I download the image, it doesn't include the profile picture in the PNG file. Okay, live vibe coding. There we go. People wanted to see it. Here it is. Why is my camera turned off? That's weird. Okay, yeah, that's down. Markets still suck. Tesla down. SAFX down. Ionic's still good. Did I get stopped out of Intel? Oh, I'm 30 cents from getting stopped out. Oh shit, I may have actually just touched it. Let's see here. Intel. Where's the dollar symbol? The reason the profile picture was missing from the download is that the web avatars were still being used as remote URLs. I changed the avatar flow, so random web avatars. Okay, did you fix your shit? Do 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 do. Where should I just paste this? Where does it actually save? Download. How big is this file? It still didn't work, did it? Oh, maybe I have to relaunch it. Nah, still broken. See? True. You want to talk to. Financial advice for middle-class Canadians in the prairies. Is building a personal brand too saturated now? In the generic space, it is absolutely too saturated, but getting specific is never saturated because business advice is crowded, but business advice for tradespeople is an untapped niche. You know what I mean? Or there are so many finance gurus out there, but you have to get hyper specific with who you want to talk to. Financial advice for I'm gonna mix this up a little bit. Yeah, is building it up in the generic space, building a personal brand too saturated now. In the generic space, it is absolutely too saturated. But getting specific is never saturated because there are so many finance gurus out there, but you have to get hyper specific with who you want to talk to. Financial advice for business advice for middle-class Canadians in the prairies. There's a funny quote I heard. Want to talk to. Financial advice for middle-class Canadians in the prairies. Business advice is crowded. Business advice for tradespeople is an untapped niche. You know what I mean? Or there was a funny quote I heard, the riches are in the niches. Okay, let's try this. There we go. Nope. For some reason, the do I open the index or yeah, no kidding, it's more complex than it needs to be. Okay, let's try this. Download. What happens now? Dude, they are all cut off. Still broken. Getting sliced off. Don't make me break out Claude code, okay? Ooh, did it actually work this time? Aha, there we go. Okay. Why won't you paste in here? So weird. Do do. Someone's messed up with this this file still. Photoshop 2026. Don't fail me now, Adobe. Okay, that fixed the profile icon issue. The next issue is there's too much empty canvas in the PNG and the image size is messed up, if that makes sense. Let's put it up somewhere like that. Is building a personal brand too saturated now? In the generic space? In the generic space? What is going on outside? Children are walking up the street. Crazy. I just want to see where my package is today. Music is which track? It's dedicated track 5. And then my mic is just a track 3. 1, 2. Personal brand too saturated now. In the generic space, it is absolutely too saturated, but getting specific is never saturated because there are so many finance gurus out there, but you have to get hyper specific with who you want to talk to. Financial advice for middle class Canadians in the prairies. Business advice is crowded. Is building a personal brand too saturated now? In the generic space, it is absolutely too saturated, but getting specific is never saturated because there are so many finance gurus out there, but you have to get hyper specific with who you want to talk to. Shorts captions. All right. Do 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 do. Maximum length and characters. I kind of like to do like one word per line. Let's go like 17. Style DS captions. Is building a personal brand too saturated now? In the generic space, it is absolutely too saturated, but getting specific is never saturated because there are so many finance gurus out there, but you have to. Is building a personal brand too saturated now? In the generic space, it is absolutely too saturated, but getting specific is never saturated because there are so many finance gurus out there, but you have to get hyper specific with who you want to talk to. Financial advice for middle class Canadians in the prairies. Business advice is crowded, but business advice for tradespeople is an untapped niche. You know what I mean? Or there was a funny quote I heard: the riches are in the niches. Is building a personal brand too saturated now? In the generic space, it is absolutely too saturated.
True.
But getting specific is never saturated because there are so many finance gurus out there, but you have to get hyper specific with who you want to talk to. Financial advice for middle class Canadians in the prairies. Business advice is crowded, but business. Nice. Export. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? We gonna blow up the computer? Sending this to media encoder? Okay, that's a good one. That one was saved. Thousand True Fans math. Love it. We are going to take a 2-minute bathroom break, ladies and gentlemen. Be right back. All right, all right. No, we're not doing a 420 stream. So the math behind 1,000 True Fans is that if you can find so the math behind 1,000 True Fans 1 2 it's 4 and then that's 5 and then we delete the 6. So the math behind 1,000 True Fans is that if you can find Yes. If you can find 1,000 people that genuinely fuck with you, True Fans is that if you can find the genuine, if you can find 1,000 people, if you can find 1,000, so the math behind 1,000 True Fans, if you can find 1,000 people that genuinely fuck with you, something in value that they would pay and offer them something in value that they would pay $10 a month for. $10 a month for. Well, that's your six-figure salary. Your salary, because so many people are trying to chase tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. It's even bonkers that there's an expectation that you have to have. True, Diggler. That there's an expectation that you have to have 7 figures of an audience before you can make 6 figures a year. And from personal experience, that is total BS, and an absolute trap that will hold people back for the rest of their life. And the cool thing about the 1,000 True Fans model is that it is a 1-to-1 replica of a 100 True Fans model, because if you can't get 10 people to buy $10 $10 a month from you, 10 people to buy $10 people to buy $10 a month from you, what makes you think that you're going to get 1,000 people to buy $10 a month from you? True. These might come up in chat. Let's get it. So the math behind 1,000 True Fans, if you can find 1,000, it's actually a little bit messed up because there's the background audio from the thingy. What did
actually kind of known for. Now, right this second, I've been moving across the country for the past month, which means, you know, setting up a new apartment, a new office, all this stuff, right? Even more.
We need something else here. Doesn't like Valheim have some good music? Assets. Game music. Is this one again? Is that file corrupt? River of Life. Math behind 1,000 True Fans. If you can find 1,000 people that genuinely fuck with you and offer them something in value that they would pay $10 a month for, well, that's your 6-figure salary. That there's an expectation that you have to have captions. Why does it do that? Why is it dumb? Premiere Pro, why are you dumb? Delete track. There we go. So the math behind 1,000 true fans, if you can find 1,000 people, 336. Okay, where's my... Where did that go? Custom comment mod, yeah. How much money can you make? So the math behind 1,000 true fans, if you can find 1,000 people that genuinely fuck with you and
more than I even thought goes into this, which has kind of forced me to be a little bit less consistent than I normally like to be. And then I had this realization last.
So the math behind 1,000 true fans, if you can find 1,000 people that genuinely... Oops, I did that wrong. In, out, export. We're just going to save over the other file like no one noticed. Is building a personal brand too saturated now? In the generic space, it is absolutely too saturated, but getting specific is never saturated because there are so many finance gurus out there, but you have to get hyper specific with who you want to talk to. Financial advice for middle class Canadians in the prairies. Business advice is crowded, but business advice for tradespeople is an untapped niche. You know what I mean? Or there was a funny quote I heard, the riches are in the niches. Not bad. Not too shabby, ladies and gentlemen. Not too shabby. So the math behind 1,000 true fans, if you can find 1,000 people that genuinely fuck with you and offer so the math behind 1,000 true fans, if you can find 1,000 people that genuinely fuck with you and offer them something in value that they would pay $10 a month for, well, that's your six-figure salary. Because so many people are trying to chase tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. It's even bonkers that there's an expectation that you have to have 7 figures of an audience before you can make 6 figures a year. And from personal experience, that is total BS and an absolute trap that will hold people back for the rest of their life. And the cool thing about the 1,000 True Fans model is that it is a 1-to-1 replica of a 100 True Fans model, because if you can't get 10
No
people
more
to buy
daylight
$10 a month
savings in
from you,
Alberta.
what makes you think that you're going to get
I
1,000
love it.
people to buy $10 a month from you?
True.
Did I upload that to Instagram? Let's see here. Da, 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 da.
Sometimes creating less means creating more. Taking your time and energy to becoming a better person and relieve a lot.
Okay, there was that one. What do we have here? How many buyers you have from your money management business $10 a month for? Well, that's your six-figure salary. That is total BS and do 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 do. Oh, I can't spell. 1,000 True Fans model. The maths. That's right. Let's see how, not Grok, our Threads post did. That's kind of interesting. So here's a Threads post we made last week. We're at 575 likes, 66 comments, but like, what was that? 12,800 views. We go here to 12,000, this post, 12,700 likes, 600 comments, 300 shares, the insights, 3.2 million views. That's what we're talking about. It clearly has no bearing in the next post though, because that one gets 1,000, that one gets 900, 700. Yeah. What about this reshare? 53. Yeah, I see it. Ooh, 53. Okay, let's get this posted. Go to
All right, it might be too early for this, but do you know when music hits, when it really hits and you start to feel it in your bones? I'm talking like when the music swells. You hear that? You hear that layering in the background? With each bar, that organ just gets stronger and stronger. Again, right here. Oh, it's still going.
It's killing me, killing me. Is building a personal brand Come on, Instagram, load. Garbage. Absolute trash. So the math behind 1,000 true fans, if you can find 1,000 people that genuinely fuck with you and offer them something in value that they would pay $10 a month for, well, that's your six-figure salary. Because so many Oh, I'm going to do a reel. That's right. People are trying to chase tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. It's even bonkers that there's an expectation that you have to have 7 figures of an audience before you can make six figures a year. And from personal experience, that is total. It's not even letting me watch the video. Man, what is wrong with Instagram this morning? For the rest of their life. And the cool thing about the 1,000 true fans model is that it is a 1-to-1 replica of a 100 True Fans model, because if you can't get 10 people to buy $10 a month from you, what makes you think that you're going to get 1,000 people? So the math behind 1,000 True Fans. If you can find 1,000 people that genuinely fuck with you and offer them something in value that they would pay $10 a month for, well, that's your six-figure salary. Because so many people are trying to chase tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. It's even bonkers that there's an expectation that you have to have 7 figures of an audience before you can make 6 figures a year. And from personal experience, that is total BS. So the math behind 1,000 True Fans, if you can find 1,000 people that done. Okay, it's going to get shared on Threads, on Instagram, Facebook. Okay. Done. Whoop. Man, the whole internet is breaking today. Yeah, she goes up, she goes down, she goes up, she goes down. What the hell's going on with that? Confusion. Okay, that's done. Do 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 do. Gerald Undone is retiring. Let's take a look at this. I wonder why.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay, let's try to cook something with this. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude today's live stream presentation. What do we got here? Well, what do we? Oh, same live. Sorry, I missed your message. I was deep into notifications. There's actually like our Canadian province is changing our time zone. If you're still around, good to have you here. Oh, I think he just left. Who is this person? Go to channel. Anyway, we are going to conclude the live stream for today. Thanks for joining these little kind of rant, talking head, kind of creator pieces I like to put together. This is an easier process for me to kind of lay out this information in sort of a free flow live environment than trying to condense it down and script a rigid video and find hundreds of pieces of B-roll and articles and what have you. This is a blast for me. I hope you enjoyed yourself too and you got some value out of today's live stream. We will be back same time, same hour, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then our secret live streams. I might try to start doing 5 days a week again. The uploads are going to be resuming every day. If you're not already, please go and see what's up on Patreon. But until next time, peace. Derek out.